abantu abandi baija kwija tubazeho ebintu ebi bongere kutumanyisa abantu ekisane kinyabwalihire hakire ntungaho omugisa gwo kubeteranisa kuba hamu nabo mukutekaniza okwo nabweki entekaniza zino zigenda maiso ekindetire ekintu kibaza akataito nikugamba ekikuru muri kyo nuko kurabyamu obukwenda okutoleka obukuru bwa ebyo buhango tehingulirize nature rundi environment kandi n'obukuru bwa amaizi ngeke mahalikyo ngeke mahalibyo ngeke mahalibyo n'urutoro hikirata lieke mahalikyo eke mahalibyo ebyo buhango tehingulirize environment hamu na amaizi bwomezi tukigamba obutose kandi kumanya buli bwomezi hata omuntu nobokuba watunga nkakahehe nkaho bakakuha utizo katunya notekana notekana so amaizi kikuru muno kugamba twikara ntujikibwa twikara ntagesibwa twikara ntahaburwa twikara tukamsibwa kulinda kurungi ebyo buhango ekyo nikija kubaho kikorwa mu buli kicheka kandi kimalire nikorwa harulengo rwihanga obujonalizo notwaro ministry kwatwa ebyo buhangwa na amaizi na ebintu byona kokubiri hati engega ya kasatu ntakaggenzireho kamba ijuki hari abantu abaneja kusera mukubaza kuno buli kasumi kuona iwanya kumanyire ntekanize eno hati twakamara I think tuli mwaka gwa kasatu kurge ntekanize eno tandikwa my planet hano mwaka gwa kasatu nyija nikugambira ngo ntekanize ntukora mu ndimi ibiri orunyoro rutoro kandi n'orungereza habwaki runyoro rutoro habokuba twina abantu benga barugihondera abasobora kuba nibanguhira okwetegereza orunyoro rutoro abandi batoro abandi bekere mutoro abandi nibarwegondezamu kandi obundi ekicoke kya kabiri habwa ensonga egi hari abatarutungire mugisa kuhondera orungereza tenugamba kutarusoma nokutarusoma kuroho abataragiye no mwisomera abamali baro kandi bantu barungi kandi betaga kumanya kandi nibakwatwaho byone bigenda maiso munsi so hati abo ndo semera kwa balizo mu rurimi rw'abanguhera n'urunyoro rutoro abekicheka ekirikiro kote cya bwizo bahondera mu rurimi hati ali abantu abandi kandi nko kumbagambira butosa anti 40 TV nemara yesion it is a global institution tuli ha satellite tuli byakali mageze byakasumikana tuli on free to air tuli so ntubaliza abajungu ningamba Europeans amahanga agabulayo otemu n'abahindi otemu n'abachina n'abantu abandi so hati abo tebamanya rutoros tebamanya rutoro hati orabaza mu rutono kisano nobaliza abatoro bonka undi abantu batoro bonka bali no babayamu kandi kirundi ite tugamba bona ntibetaga nango no mu Uganda ho karwe bicheke bimu nambira abantu batakumanya runyoro rutoro so oburi kubaza Ongereza no babaleta nicorora nikozesa endimi ibiri hata nango nyekyeno nyamsane ntandikire mbere ntakatabukire orwa kabiri nikuruleta bitatu nagenda kuruleta abokuba na kwetagire buli muntu wena amanye ekirugenda maiso ubundi amare dakika nkasatu ninyatkana mu Rungerezo mutagamba ogo yabata yakwatwata nango tugonza kura buli muntu yahondera kurungi nicho nimbaza nifunza mu Rungereza ni ndabyamu otoro ruke akanyabatanya cyo rugamba nuko buli muntu asobole kuhondera therefore I do some bit of summarizing what I've so far said and then move on to another step of the presentation in this show, My Planet. I started by appreciating everyone and welcoming you and feeling happy about you, though I hadn't consoled those who have lost their dear ones, who have suffered in any way possible. I console you, I comfort you, be strong and know that's what life is like. But there are those who are celebrating many things, so I congratulate you upon the achievements that you have got. But I also must congratulate the young people, the learners who recently concluded their primary 7 and their results came for last year. And this coming month, I think this coming month, yes, no. Maybe late this month, this February, they are going to join the secondary schools, senior one. Congratulations, the learners, the parents, the government, the schools, and all other stakeholders. And now I'm congratulating those who concluded Senior 4, did their examinations, which you call UCE here in Uganda, Uganda Certificate of Education, and the results have come, and schools have performed well, I'm told. I want to congratulate the learners themselves, first of all, because without them, we could not be talking about Senior 4. You talk about Senior 4 because there are students there who are learning, who are doing exams, so the cause that the class is there. And therefore, they are the people who write the examinations, who do the examinations. And when they pass, we must congratulate them. Even those who have not been able to pass for some reason, at least they attempted the examination. So I congratulate all of you. Thank you for your impressive performance. And Senior 5 is awaiting you joining it. But also I must congratulate the parents because first of all, they produce the children. Because without the parents having produced them, you cannot talk about children. And it is the children who joined Senior 4. And so parents that did that very important foundation. But also supporting, bringing and supporting by giving food, water, shelter, school requirements, including fees, uniforms, scholastic materials, love, care, and all other kind of support. So the parents play a huge, huge role. Congratulations, our beloved parents, for the support for our children, because this is one of the reasons why the parents have performed, because you did all that could salvage their performance. You gave them a good background, a good springboard, the support that has enabled them to do the best that they could, because they were not worried, they are not scared or threatened. They knew all resources were put in for them to perform or to study. But also you can have the children or the students and the parents as well, but if you don't have the teachers, you cannot go far. The teachers play a huge role, starting from the administration of the school, the head teacher, the deputies, and all those who are in support, and the teachers themselves, classroom teachers, or lecturers if you want. They play a huge role to share knowledge and skills with these young people so that they can become relevant to society, more relevant actually. Even at first, before they go to school, they are relevant, yes, in some way, but now they become more relevant because they will make a contribution through the value chain creation. Value chain creation. That is adding value. That is creating input, doing something that will help society to live and enjoy. So teachers, you play a huge role in this case. I congratulate you as well for the job well done. But of course, teachers are teaching from structures put up by the government, and they're being paid by the government. And so without government's input, putting up the structures in the form of schools, putting in requirements, providing finances, paying requirements for the emoluments or salaries, allowances for the school staff, you cannot have the teachers to teach. And once you don't have the teachers, you have no learners learning. And once you have no learners learning, you cannot talk of Senior 4, and you cannot talk of HSC, you cannot talk of university, you cannot. So the government also plays a huge role, and they must congratulate the government upon the input that they make to enable the people to have their children in school and for the students to learn and perform better. Congratulations. We hope as you join HSC or high school certificate level or advanced level, please, you should be able to perform. You should be able to perform, maintain the momentum, even increase the momentum, accelerate the learning, so that from that level you perform, and you straight away join other institutions at the subsequent levels, the levels of maybe colleges or other institutions of learning, tertiary institutions, but also universities. So if you don't perform at that level of finishing senior 6, then I mean you will more or less be just in the middle there, and the value chain contribution from you will be minimal, and your relevance will be limited, which is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. So mbatabarikiza abazaire abakusagika abaana na okusoma bakaraba mukurungi abamaze ekitebe kya musanju byarugire mbere ngeso bukaija nokiraba ngo bicheke bimu abaana batakole kurungi ndi bikara bitakole kurungi bitu abakozire bakakora nabalengere bakalengaho hati birugire musinya 4 basinya 4 bakozire birugire muna vizire report ziri ngo abana rundi abegi bakakora kurungi na sime tongole byone bikwatwaho hati no mbeire nyuma haho mbalizeho acha water week had told my fellow people who understand Runyoro Toro that we have water and environment week in the country. Uganda, which is organized, we have a week that is celebrated in zones. We have 4 zones. We have Albertine zone, we have Lake Victoria zone, we have I think Eastern Axis zone, we have West Nile zone, I think, yeah, taking care of northern Uganda. So for us here in the Albertine region, we have already started the week. We have set some program beginning from 16th. We are having 16th is when tomorrow, yeah, activities, serious activities are beginning, so we continue in that direction. And also in March will be the climax at national level. There will be that week also celebrated. That is to have people be reminded about the importance of observing, protecting, conserving nature, including water, environment, and all that concerns it. So a lot of messages are going to be shared. And the team from the Ministry of Water and Environment, based in the region here at Fort Portal, will be joining us next Sunday, I'm sure. They'll join us and share with us that every one of us is concerned and you are a stakeholder, key stakeholder actually, either in building or destruction. But we pray that you'll be a stakeholder in conserving nature, which is our lifeline, Now I want to tackle the issue because we have been in the political season, and the political season in Uganda is not yet over, because we still have some elections to do after tomorrow. Actually, in some places, there are some elections that were not done. I think in Fort Portal City, for example, and maybe other parts of the country, there are a few bits of elections that will have to be done, but they are very important. But also we have not yet done for LC2 and LC1. Those are yet to come. But on a whole, we have been in the season of elections. But at least we have gone, I think, maybe, can I say 80%, because I have elected the president, members of parliament, local government structures we have already elected, and it is within local government structures that there are a few other areas that we need to conclude or to complete in terms of election, and then we shall move a lot down. But I have a message for those who have been elected, the elects. Yeah, I have a message for you. First of all, I congratulate those who were elected, and thank you for offering yourself to come and be in position to serve the country, to serve the people. Yeah, to sacrifice your time, your resources, your energy, your wisdom, your intelligence, to make a contribution. But sometimes, some who offer themselves with that intent end up not doing it. And so when you don't, it's a challenge, because we say, when you make your bed, you must lie on it. It would be foolhardy for you to prepare your bed at night and you sleep sitting in a chair. we would refer you to medical facilities, maybe seek medical assistance. But I have one quote for leadership, one quote regarding leaders, and kindly listen to this or follow this. And we shall discuss a little bit on this quote. Quote, leaders think and talk about solutions. Followers think and talk about problems. I quote again. Leaders think and talk about solutions. Leaders think and talk about solutions. Followers think and talk about problems. Abebembezi batekereza muno kwekimitiriza kandi babazaho actually kubura hano kukora. Kike kisobora kukonyera kuletera abantu kubakurungi. Obaraba baine ebiri kubatalbanisa. Ito abarukuhondera rundi abakomi rundi abakusaba obuhereza abanyesire followers abako tuhondera bebembezi tukira kutekereza na kubaza ha emetalebano ebyetago problems kisobora kuba bizibu betu bisobora kuba byetago needs or requirements or services or gaps in those services. So itwe obutwoleka ngo ito abutezi bakaruru nabantu abandi bona babukiro kanywa naiwe twagamba twini bora lya maizi twini bora lya mbazi marwaro obundi ebisale masomero rundi byetago birheguru rundi amasomero gali marungi nebintu kusana biti ite tubantu bazaho obulemezi tukweta problems hatu tubaze bintu ebyo tutubiyabalizi twenka tuba tubaliza abebembeza abanyakomero habo ko beija batugambira kandi abarukiro wingi bakamanyisa ngo ni bagonza kukonyera kurora ebizibu binu byakea hakwa bisobora kutahwa betakire byakea ebizibu tibwa by the way bikeha oburaba no goza debate ansongenu tekaniza wana goza kwanura kutezangane mpake za magezi ezebitekereze zobongo tekaniza tanuli oburaba nogamba ngo problems are always solved. For me, I'll come and tell you that problems are always reduced or reduced what else? Yeah, reduced. You can think about other words that you can use, but it's practically difficult to have them solved completely, resolved completely, 100%. No. You can't provide 100% medication. You can't provide 100% school requirements. You can't provide 100% everything you think about, including the family matters. We don't provide 100%. But we try the best we can to provide as much as possible. But at least we contribute towards supporting in that direction. So when the followers talk about problems, the leaders must also not simply talk about the problems. They should think and talk about solutions. But also go an extra mile, not to simply think and talk and stop at that, but also think, talk, and act upon those problems. And act upon those problems. So I want to challenge our elected leaders at whatever level. I want to simply challenge you positively, constructively, and supportingly that please seriously think about, talk about, and act upon the problems. You provide solutions. Think about solutions, talk about solutions, and act towards solving or resolving problems, or reducing on the problem burden. So don't be elected and be referred to as honorable and you think that's all. No, you have to do more to salvage. I mean, to support your offer of being a leader. Leadership is not about talking, not about occupying office, not about being called, given titles and all this. Yes, those are there, but they make more sense when you act and you do something in regard to what was given to you. That will justify you being called a leader, justify you being called honorable, justify you being called member of parliament, chairman or chairperson, anybody. So leadership is demanding, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It demands that you think and talk about and act upon the problems that people have forwarded to you. And so your key role is looking for solutions and addressing the problems. Yeah. So abebembezi obujunaanyizibwa bwaitu nukwo kuliriza abantu nibagamba ki ako abantu batekereza kandi babaza ebizibu ebikubatalibaniza mbikaro byabo hatite nkabebembezi tekananyo no mbanza nyateeko oko and indeed yes tutekereza muno tuchumitiriza tubaza tuhanura kandi tutekaniza emibazi rundi ebiturakozesa kukesha ebizibu ebi kesha obulemezi obu kesha kutalibanizibwa obu. So nobu tabimaliho habukwa ngambire akusuma karikiro bwingi ebyo kukozesa obuntu bitumara kubimaraho bethakire okolichoneka kusoboka ororwe ngu ofireyo oine ekyokozire tobalize bubaza kuonka tutekereza kuonka kyonka nokukora okozire. Of course ninkimanya abebembezi bona busanya gukora wenka akatunga ebyo kukozesa kumara ebizibu by'abantu ndi byetago bya society ndi by'abantu general bakora n'abagenzi babo. So interpersonal relationship is key, partnership is key, networking is key, collaboration is key, cooperation is key, unity is strength. So I was quoting from Brian Tracy regarding leaders think and talk about solutions while followers think and talk about problems. Yeah. I was talking to Ugandans in general, but people of this region in particular, because that's where I stay, and so I would need to see partaking on the benefits of the services that they will be offering. Let's move on to a global level. Global level. I have some bit of time here. Let me talk about global affairs. Now I'm going to focus on matters to do with the global nature. International affairs, world affairs, global affairs. And I will concentrate a little bit on, or focus on, conflicts. I will focus on conflicts. Very first, I will talk about it here for the global understanding, and then I will come back down here for my grandmother, my grandfather, my village kids who have not been able to go to school for some reason and talking our language, but you allow me just first of all, I address the global community, the international community in matters of global affairs. So conflicts, disagreements, wars, suffering, torturing of people, imprisonment, and so on. But now I'm focusing on conflicts in the form of wars, fightings. There are many conflicts in the world today. I can mention a few at random, but maybe I will concentrate on one of the many that I shall have mentioned. The list is long. We have, for example, Israel, Gaza, Iran conflict. Israel, Gaza, Iran conflict. What am I talking about? Israel in the Middle East is having a huge conflict with Gaza, the residents of Gaza who are called Hamas people, that group of fighters, that group of individuals who really always at loggerheads with Israel. And Gaza is part of Palestine. Palestine is supposed to be a state, supposed to be a country, and Israel is supposed to be a state, to be a country, and that's what it is, and Palestine is what it is. But Palestine doesn't want Israel to exist as a country. Israel says, no, look, we're existing as a country. Palestine, with its groups, are saying, including Iran, which supports the groups that destabilize or try or want or act in destabilizing Israel, to say Israel should not exist as a country. As a state, as a state, it shouldn't. As a state of Israel, it shouldn't be there. So Israel fights back because it gets attacked to be destroyed, and it fights back. I'm imagining, because there is that school of thought that says it is Israel which starts the war against Palestinians, against the people of Gaza, against Hamas. Is that true? It annoys Iran, and that's why Iran supports these other groups that fight against Israel. Is that true? Organize a conference, organize a debate, organize a dialogue rather, and we exchange ideas. We use the brains to think about this. But Israel is a tiny country, the Middle East, which is being harassed left, right, and center, that it shouldn't exist there because some schools of thought say that these people came and settled here in the land which was not theirs, and so they want to expand themselves, and they want to mishandle the people they found there. But Israelis say that this is our ancestral home from our grandfather and father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You know, descendancy of that line. So there's always a conflict there. You remember one that has taken place when there are many that take place between Israel and Gaza residents, so Palestine. But the most remarkable one and the latest one, which is still holding people at tentacles, is when the Hamas from Gaza invaded Israel on the 7th of October 2023 and killed more than 1,200 people. 1,200 plus people, and took hostage 250 plus people. So Israel naturally reacted, followed up to rescue the abductees or the hostages, but also fight back to revenge against the invasion that the Hamas had done. And in the process up to this time, there has been fighting and people dying, people suffering, destruction of infrastructure, buildings, hospitals, schools, and the rest of that. So it is a huge conflict. The United States of America has come in to try to help and mediate peace. So some steps are positively yielding results. But it's said that this group, Hamas, and other groups, like the one in Lebanon called Hezbollah, and the one in Yemen called Houthi, are supported by Iran so that they can fight and destroy Israel so that it doesn't exist as a state. So Israel cannot fight against Hamas alone in Gaza, but also has issues with Iran, because Iran will keep arming, training, supporting, facilitating these groups. So that is one huge conflict. Sometimes when time allows, we give it a broader discussion, but I'm just highlighting on the conflicts that are existing in the world. This is a global conflict actually, because it affects many people in different ways. Yeah, but also we have another conflict in Democratic Republic of the Congo here. There are lots of groups there, referred to as rebel groups, including the ones from Uganda, which are hiding there. They are hiding there. ADF, for example, Allied Democratic Forces. Then there is that one from northern Uganda, LRA, Lord's Resistance Army, and other groups that I don't know, but they are there. So those contribute to the conflict in the DRC. But also there are other groups within DRC, like one referred to as M23, allegedly supported by Rwanda, which Rwanda denies. And I'm not saying that, yes, it is supported by Rwanda. I'm saying allegedly supported by Rwanda, which Rwanda denies. So there's that conflict. You know, DRC is a huge country. Most of the conflicts are raging in the eastern part of the country, in Goma area, Kivu area, those provinces. And we are closest neighbors here. DRC is in the west of Uganda. our bordering, our closest neighbor here in the region. But also, just in the north of this country up there, in a country called Sudan, we have two huge conflicts there. The one in the Sudan main, the Khartoum area, that is the main Sudan before South Sudan got to be what it is now. It was part of the bigger Sudan. So we have South Sudan. There is a conflict there between the president, vice president, and other groups and other rebel groups, so fighting groups. I can refer to them. Riek Machar as vice president, and the other people, the leaders as well. So there is a huge conflict there. That is in the neighborhood. Uganda also partakes on that conflict. Our people die there, the traders, other people are moving, and it spills over into the country. But also, the other part of Sudan, there are two giant antagonists. We have the Rapid Support Force, the process lost their lives. And the supporting international community through World Food Program, they have halted supporting. Because when they bring food, the rebel group hijacks the containers, the food packages and so on. So it becomes a huge problem. So there's that conflict. We need a lot of time to discuss that. I have details about each of these conflicts. So I'm just giving you a litany or a line of these conflicts. But also we have a conflict in Somalia, where Uganda, among other African countries, contributes a peacekeeping force through the auspices of the United Nations organization. So lots of conflicts that I may have not mentioned here. But also today, I will concentrate a little bit, the remaining time that I have, I'll concentrate on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, when I mentioned that, some schools of thought out there, some groups of people say, why can't he concentrate on DRC, on Sudan, on Somalia? He concentrates on the countries which are far away from us. Some Ugandans can think like that, including people in this part of the country can think like that, including those who have gone to school. Those who have gone to school may think about that he's talking about things which are far away and leaving things that are close to us. But let me tell you that this is a global village. We are concerned with each corner of this globe, each corner of this planet Earth, because we are not independent. We are not independent. We are either interdependent or dependents. Interdependent or dependents. Interdependent because you cannot have all the resources that you need for your country's welfare. You have to get some resources from other areas, either in terms of imports, in terms of commerce, you buy, but also the other people also need some resources from this side, so you export and so on. That is interdependence. We depend on each other in terms of give and take, in terms of export and import. So when something is happening in Ukraine, which is I think the largest, either fourth or largest producer of wheat in the world, Ukraine, the largest producer of wheat. And when that wheat gets destroyed, which we import ourselves as a country, as Uganda and many other countries in the world, which is a food item, which helps us to do or make bread, make chapatis, to make that food, we are affected. Who doesn't know about a chapati in Uganda? Who doesn't know about bread in Uganda? So how much wheat do we cultivate here? So that you can say, even when Ukraine is destroyed, there is no problem. For us here, we have wheat, which can suffice. We can can be adequate or enough to supply and support the chapati, can I say production or industry? I don't know. Bread industry or production, whatever it is. So you cannot say that if you're exposed to know how the world works, So we are concerned not only wheat, but also other agricultural products, but also fuel or oil. You can pride in the oil that we discovered here in the Albertine Graben or Lake Albert sub-regional region. But I want to ask you, since its discovery, how much have we earned as a country? How much have we earned as a country? How much have we exported? And how much have we earned from that export of oil or fuel? I think we have not yet exported. And as a country, officially, we have not yet received monies from that lucrative business, from that important mineral wealth. We have not. So, but we are using fuel, gas and oil. From where? From which garden here in the country? No, we are importing from many countries, including Ukraine, perhaps including Russia and other countries. And so when they are fighting, it means there is a lot of spending, a lot of utilization of that fuel there in the war, and reducing on what can be exported from there or what we can import from there. And so in the process we get affected, and that's why when we import little, we begin rationing it, and therefore even hoarding it, and therefore even the price is rising. And when prices rise, everybody is affected in terms of industrial production, in terms of transport, in terms of all other things. So when I talk about Russia and Ukraine, don't even imagine that I'm talking about distant areas or countries that are not concerning us. They are as close as you may imagine, as close as you could consider DRC, Sudan, and Somalia in terms of the interdependence relationship that we have, import and export, resources that we don't have and the resources that they don't have. So I'm justified to talk about that because it is a huge conflict. Actually, it is a geopolitical conflict as well. Besides being a military, it is a geopolitical conflict. Uganda and other countries do relate with either or both of these countries. For example, I can comfortably say that you don't talk ill about Russia in this country, because as a country, we have some areas where we relate. Our leaders have networking relationships. As a country, even militarily, in terms of training, in terms of provision of military equipment and the rest of that. So you cannot say Russia is too far away when you have some of their military equipment in the country, in terms of vehicles, in terms of guns, in terms of training of our soldiers and the rest of that. So the country does relate. And so when you are talking about Russia and you are Ugandan, you need to be a little bit cautious because, But also, I can talk about Russia from another dimension. Not talking about national relationship, international relationship in that direction, but as a person, I may not be comfortable with what is happening between Russia and Ukraine, and like anybody else is not comfortable except if you really have a problem in terms of human feelings. When Russia is killing Ukrainians like chicken, like insects, like anything, and you say, let them kill them. If you are thinking about that, because you relate to Russia, and you don't care about the Ukrainians who are dying, women, children, everybody, and destroying the country's infrastructure, that independent country, and you think it's not independent because you have some thinking which is really having issues, because you think it's not independent, it's Russia affiliated, then I think for you, I can't talk much unless, if you're okay, somehow we can debate together. But if you're not okay, I can just excuse myself from arguing with you. So, Russia-Ukraine war. When did it start? It started way back in many years ago. Even you remember, in 2014, Russia grabbed, occupied, or annexed Crimea Peninsula. Crimea Peninsula is part of Ukraine in 2014. But even before 2014, there were lots of conflicts because in eastern Ukraine, the people speak Russian. And Russian Federation thinks that since there are a lot of people speaking Russian in that part of Ukraine, which Ukraine was part of USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, but ceded, like many other countries have done. So why can't I grab back that part of the country? Because the pretext will be, we have Russians there. We have Russians there. There is that imperialistic tendency. So this conflict started quite long, but officially to declare formal invasion by Russia against Ukraine was on 24th of February 2022. We are in the 4th year now. And Russia had thought maybe in a few days or a week or so many weeks, less than a month, could have brought down Kyiv. Kyiv is the capital of Ukraine. That the government in Kyiv, the government in Ukraine could have collapsed. But it didn't. It didn't. Those who know military history and other strategic history know Ukraine is a fighting country. It's a fighting country. Actually, to resist, okay, there could be some occupation, yes. A 20th part of the country called Ukraine is occupied by Russia, Russian invaders. Yeah, but it's not subdued as Ukraine, as a country. It's fighting on. It can even at some point redeem these parts of the country. It may not, I don't know, but as a country, it's not subdued. It is still fighting. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And getting support from other allies in Europe, including America, the other side, also with some support from European Union, from NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that security agency, not agency really, that alliance, North Atlantic Cross Alliance. So officially, Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, and since then there is a lot of havoc that has been wreaked against Ukraine. 1 million people must have died, and many more millions displaced internally and externally, becoming refugees, and so there is a lot of suffering. Infrastructure, especially power or energy infrastructure, has been destroyed greatly. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday was speaking in Munich, Germany, in the Munich Security Conference, said that there is no infrastructure unit in the country called Ukraine that has not suffered the destruction by Russia, that has not been hit by Russia. Any infrastructure, rather power infrastructure, energy infrastructure, we're talking about electricity and its production, all that, including in the capital Kyiv and other regions of Ukraine, Kherson and other areas, Odessa and elsewhere, those of us who have known that geography, every part of the country of Ukraine where you find energy infrastructure, Russia has hit there. Missiles, drones, ballistics, so many people have died. But Russians are also dying. The soldiers, as we talk now, it could be from the Security Conference, I'm quoting the French President Emmanuel Macron, who said yesterday that up to almost 1 million Russian soldiers have died in the conflict in Ukraine. So, why? Finally, because my time is running out, why did this war happen in the first place? There are many explanations. Some could be genuine, some may not. But there are some genuine ones. But from my personal perspective, as a student of this kind of history, I'm not saying military history, I'm not saying political history, I'm talking about current history. How can history be current? Yes, I know what I'm talking about. I have known Russia. Now it's being called the Russian Federation, which is part of the old Russia, which was dominating in the East, in Eastern Europe, including Poland and other countries, Hungary, and other countries you may name there, including Finland and so on. But USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, that communist body collapsed. Communism collapsed, and so many countries decided to go independent. Not only Ukraine, but many more others, about 10, even more than 10. But Ukraine is the biggest of those which cut themselves off, which seceded from USSR, which was that at that time, but which should be part now of the Russian Federation. So it's the biggest, but less than Russia, of course. Russian Federation is the biggest. Next to it, or second, is Ukraine. Not only in size, but also militarily, highly trained, organized, but also agricultural production is highly agricultural country. We can talk about farming in general, but agriculture is the embodying statement. But also other mineral resources, huge, a lot of mineral resources, including rare earth, which scientists in engineering technology, military technology badly need. Fertile soils of that country. So, I suspect, unless you prove me otherwise, given the leader who is in Russia today, Vladimir Putin, has a feeling, he cherishes a feeling of grabbing this country back to be part of Russian Federation. With all those resources, abo birango chikubye, nobokitira, kwegarura Ukraine ego linkaras, nobokimazi. Hapokuba nikore yo kurwanise ya amani mun liri mu Ukraine. Mu Ukraine. Yeah. Which Russia obuyatahiri Ukraine ekahambe kikali cyo nambiri koro liri iyo kurwanise bya amani muno. Ebinde buherekereza ebinde bisise ebinde kwaraka ebinde. So that imperialistic tendency to grab that land back with the pretext of having Russian-speaking people there and all these are things. But also number two, which is advanced, is that Russia saw that Ukraine has interest of joining NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is an alliance of more than 30 countries now, about 30 countries. That is a security alliance that is opposed to Russia's interference in the world affairs. Interference, not collaboration, not working, not cooperation, but interference has its negative connotation, which can hinder, reduce, stop the influence of Russia across the globe in terms of occupation and all those things. So for that reason, I think Russia doesn't want, given the regime that is in Moscow, or Kremlin if you want, doesn't want Ukraine to join NATO. And because it is close to Russia, it thinks that Russia thinks that it's not safe when you have a close neighbor who is a member of NATO with all that fighting capacity, military power and strategy and wealth and mineral wealth and the rest of that. So that could not be a good neighbor. If you disturb it, the other colleagues in NATO alliance could come to its rescue or fight you. So Russia wants Ukraine isolated, not being part of NATO. Can be part of European Union, no problem, because the other is an economic kind of bloc. But this military alliance is part of the strong reasons. That's why Russia is saying that doesn't want to see Ukraine joining NATO. But how do you determine the affairs of an independent state, an independent country? Ulinyineka hano nogenda otapchora munyineko ndi yiwete lugonzo wa mnywano wabali takoragana hakuwa bali ko takoragana kandi obora ba mnywano wabo kandi lahila nyowe nibeja kukozesa kwita kuntalibaniza. You can't think like that. More modern world like this one, you do it differently. You don't going to eat like that. You're not going to eat like that. It's strange for a civilized country. It is strange indeed. You can't do that. And also, number 3, the one I'm concluding with because my time is running out, is that Russia thinks that if you get a leader in Ukraine who is loyal to Kremlin. Kremlin is the headquarters, the political capital of Russia. Political capital. You can talk of Moscow. Yes, I know some of you say, but how about Moscow? We can discuss Moscow some other time. So I'm talking about Kremlin. Like you could say, maybe Entebbe, Kampala. Talk of Kiev. So if we get a president who is loyal, who is under the wings of Kremlin, especially the ruling man now, Vladimir Putin, you can do anything with Ukraine. You have a puppet, actually that's the word, a puppet president there. You can use all the resources in Ukraine as you like. You can give them the rules, regulations, the laws you want, the do's and don'ts. You can do that. So you can directly rule that country. All the resources you need, you can get them because you can compromise your other loyal or puppet president. So that man in the Kremlin wants all that and many other reasons. Colleagues and friends, my viewer, and so on, I may not go beyond this point, but how is this happening? Is this going to be permanent war? No. There's nothing that happens that never ends. It will end. How it ends, I don't know. The Russians could win the war, or Ukraine could do the same. Either could lose, and the other could win. So I don't know. But many allies are in support of Ukraine winning the war, because this is its territorial integrity. It's an independent country. It must reserve that respect. But of course, Russia is being supported by China, by North Korea, by Iran, but those also have got their concerns and so on. Next time, when I come here, I will pick from there, because I know other viewers and listeners have been now taking interest in this discussion. Until next Sunday, God willing, stay safe.
Mukole na amani gani kuona kandi ikale nomanya ngonokora kuyao.
Ora Mbamato Ure Mbamato Kokoliko kumwimuke mambe sasiri Dodoli dodo bukire nakasana kakiri Jambuli wateke olubimbi obwire bugenzere Sigensigo linda makesa nakachira kagwire Leka kwikara kulere ngaro Ura Sabaruhanga kuyambe naga wotaireho Mbamato